You know, I would have called you a liar if you had told me this would be a top 20 matchup and would be one of the best matchups of week 3. But here we are. I fully expected USF to be 0-2 entering this game. Instead, the Bulls are 2-0, number 18 in the country, with big-time wins over Boise State and Florida, and now they're facing off against number 5 Miami in what could be a very, very close game. Will the Bulls shock the nation, or will Miami end their Cinderella start to the season? You're going to find out right here on the Gridiron Expert. So welcome back, guys. We're so glad you could join us today. As always, please continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos. Check out everything down in the description below. That includes our website, thegridironexpert.com, home to our expert picks. Some of the best college football and NFL spread picks in the entire country, beating out over 80% of the national handicappers each of the last 6 years. We hit over 60% of our bets in both college and NFL back in week 2. We're going to have another successful week in week 3. We're offering these picks for one of the lowest prices in the country. So go sign up today. Take advantage of these picks. Take advantage of these winnings and become a member of our GE Nation today. So, man, I mean, what a crazy start. I mean, seriously, I don't think this would have even been on our top 5 underrated games had USF not won any of those games. Yet here we are talking about this, a top 20 game. The Bulls, I mean, really, I thought we were going to start 0-3. I even said that I thought they would have a fantastic run in the American, but opening up against Boise State, who was ranked, going on the road to the Swamp, who was supposed to be, Florida's supposed to be pretty good this year, although we didn't think so. And then on the road to Miami, I was like, they're going to start 0-3, but things will get better once conference play starts. And yet here they are, 2-0, 18th in the country, destroyed Boise State by 27 points, and then stunned Florida 18-16. Their defense doing a fantastic job, not allowing a Florida touchdown until the fourth quarter. Miami, meanwhile, comes to this game as a top 5 team in the nation. They defeated Notre Dame back in week 1, an absolute thriller there, and then Bethune-Cookman beat them 45-3 as expected. So let's jump into this. I mean, can USF start 3-0? Can they shock the nation for the 3rd week in a row? The Bulls are a legitimate college football playoff contender, whether they win or lose this game. Even if they lose, they're still very much in the hunt to be that group of 5 team in the college football playoff. But I tell you what, it really just comes to show you what USF can do with a healthy Byron Brown, right? They still made a bowl game last year. Alex Galesh has done a phenomenal job with this program, but Byron Brown was banged up quite a bit last year. He's back fully healthy and has been great in these first 2 weeks. 473 passing yards, 1 touchdown, 109 rushing yards, 2 more touchdowns. So he's a very good, accurate passer. USF has had a couple of home run balls in the first 2 weeks, especially that big one last week against Florida. He's obviously very mobile, which is something that Miami's defense and any other defense they face is going to have to count for. They have a great wide receiver core. Keyshawn Singleton, 168 yards, 2 touchdowns already on the year. Chaz Nimrod, 120 yards on just 6 receptions, so 2 kind of home run players right there. 255 passing yards and 117 rushing yards against Boise State, 263 passing yards and 128 rushing yards against Florida. So against 2 teams where USF was an underdog, where in theory they were, they were going to be out physical, they weren't going to be as big in the trenches, they have held their own, and they've actually had relatively balanced offensive attacks in each of those first 2 games. This is an offense that wants to come out and throw the ball. Why wouldn't you when Brown is playing as well as he is, when you have wide receiver talent as well as they do? But my biggest concern right now is this offensive line, as solid as they've been in the first 2 weeks, has still given up 5 sacks in the first 2 games. And they're now going up against a very, very good Miami defensive line, which we'll touch on here shortly. So if you're USF, you've got to come out and you've got to start strong. You've got to make it known that you still belong here. So whether it's a strong start offensively or a strong start defensively, where at halftime they have really kind of contained Miami's offense, like they did last week against Florida. It was a low-scoring game. Not many teams were getting those home run balls, not many touchdowns here and there, but USF's defense was keeping them in the game. USF has to make sure that they, offensively at least, they don't allow Miami to run away with it. If Miami starts scoring a lot, you got to match them step for step. You've got to get off to a strong start, and you've got to protect your quarterback. Even though Brown has mobility, you do not want him running for his life on just about every single play. Miami, look, they've been just fine. The biggest concern coming into the year, and I can say concern, but was they lost so much offensively. Cam Ward was gone, Martinez was gone, Xavier Restrepo was gone. They lose so much from that historic 2024 offense. They were like, how are they going to bounce back? Are they going to be as good? They might not be as good statistically, but they're looking just good to me. 543 yards last week for the Hurricanes. That includes 344 passing yards, 267 of which came from Carson Beck. Against Notre Dame, one of the better defenses in the nation, a top 10 matchup there. the Hurricanes had 205 passing yards and 119 rushing yards with multiple big-time third down conversions. And not just 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2. These were like 3rd and long, and Miami was picking them up. So that was really impressive to me. Carson Beck has returned from his injury, that he suffered at the end of last season with Georgia, came back, played well against Notre Dame, played good against Bethune-Cookman, 472 yards, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions. It should be noted that neither team, USF or Miami, has committed a turnover this year. 2 freshmen, Malachi Tony, has been phenomenal at wide receiver. Everybody was really excited about him coming into the year. He's lived up to the hype, 162 yards and a touchdown. The million-dollar question right now is, can Miami remain semi-balanced? Can Carson Beck take care of the football? Can they go out there and exploit a USF secondary that is seeing the best passing attack they've faced all year long? So that's kind of the thing here. Miami's got a heck of a quarterback in Carson Beck. They're not afraid to let him go out there and air it out, and as they should. USF is now seeing the best quarterback and the best passing attack they've seen. Maddox Madsen, okay at Boise State. Nothing super spectacular. DJ Lagway, not that good at Florida. Carson Beck and this passing attack will be the best one that USF has seen in their first 2 games. So what can that defense do now? Can they force a turnover? Can they force the first turnover that Miami will commit all year long, or has committed all year long? That's the question. I look at the Bulls. They've forced 4 turnovers so far this year. Against Boise and Florida, 4 combined turnovers. They've given up just 23 points. And that's so interesting because, the last couple of years, USF has not had a good defense whatsoever. They allowed 256 passing yards to Boise State. They allowed 222 passing yards to Florida. They've allowed at least 279 passing yards per game in each of the last 3 years. Alex Galesh is an offensive mind. The last couple of years, the offense has been good. The defense has it. So you just kind of see a lot of USF games become a track meet, back and forth, high-scoring games, and you just hope that you have the ball last and can win, right? This year feels different. Against 2 quality teams, this defense of USF has done a really, really good job. But again, this is the best offense they have faced. Will the defense get exposed, or will they once again rise to the occasion and shut down Carson Beck? Get a turnover or 2. We know he was slightly turnover prone during his time at Georgia. That is the biggest thing. In a road game like this where you're over a 17-point underdog, find a way to get the turnovers. Even last week against Florida, they only committed or forced 1 turnover, but they had the bad snap. They got a safety out of that. They forced the interception as well. So, forcing Miami into mistakes. And if they do make a mistake, then taking advantage of it offensively. And then if I'm also USF, find a way to make Miami one-dimensional. The Hurricanes have a very strong offensive line. They're more than capable of running the football here as well. You've got to take something away. If you're having to respect both the run and the pass and you never know which one to hone in on, it's going to be a long, long day. But if you can shut one of them down, you might be okay. Even if it's shutting down the run and forcing Beck to throw against you and your secondary is not all that great, I'd rather be able to focus on one thing and not both. So that's kind of the key. Turnovers. Take advantage of mistakes and find a way to take away one major aspect of Miami's offense. Defensively for Miami, you can argue this is the best offense the Hurricanes have seen, right? Notre Dame in week 1 did not run the ball effectively. They chose not to. Jeremiah Love, one of the best running backs in the nation, only got 10 carries in that game, and the Fighting Irish were starting C.J. Carr in his first ever start. So this is definitely the best offense that the Hurricanes have seen all year long. They allowed 314 yards to the Fighting Irish, 221 through the air, 93 on the ground. I mentioned earlier how good this front 7 is for Miami. I've been high on them all offseason long. Love the defensive line. Love the linebacking core. So far this year, the Hurricanes have 4 sacks and 15 tackles for a loss. And that's where I think you're going to see the discrepancy here, right? Is the USF offensive line that's already given up 5 sacks. Can they hold up for a full 60 minutes? Can they protect their quarterback for a full 60 minutes against this dominant Miami front? I don't expect the Bulls to run the ball much. And if they do run the ball, I don't think they're going to run it very effectively. I think Miami's front 7 is going to do their job, which means USF is already one-dimensional and is going to have to rely heavily through the air, heavily on the passing game from Byron Brown, and that's going to allow the Miami secondary to kind of hone in on that and maybe force them to commit their first turnover of the year. So that's going to be the biggest thing. Miami, shut down the run, get pressure on Brown, keep him in the pocket. You do not want him to extend plays, picking up some extra first downs with his legs, or just be able to buy himself more time to find someone on a home run ball, as we've seen multiple times throughout this year against Boise State and Florida. So ultimately, guys, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? Top 20 matchup, USF and Miami. I mean, who would have thought? Who would have thought? Look, the Bulls are believing. And that is a dangerous thing when it comes to a group of 5 program, right? You look at a team like this, you look at the spread, they're expected to lose. They were expected to lose their first 2 games, and that did not matter to them. They are believing. They are believing they can beat anybody. They strolled into the swamp and won that game. They certainly believe they can stroll into Miami and win this game too. So when you have a lower level program believing they can hang with anybody, anywhere, anytime, that's a dangerous, dangerous thing, especially when this team's got nothing to lose. They got nothing to lose. That's a dangerous thing. But Miami, without a doubt, is the better team. They have the better offense. They have the better trench play, both offensive line and defensive line, and they have the better defense. This game might be closer than people think. I know a lot of people are saying the Canes are just going to go out there and destroy them. I don't think that's going to be the case. I don't expect a 28, 35 point win for Miami. I just don't. I do think they win by double digits. I think maybe 17 would be the max because USF has proven the defense can hang. The offense has proven they can put up some points and that they can hang. And I do have a lot of faith in Byron Brown. And again, they have nothing to lose. They're going to pull out all the stops. But ultimately, Miami, simply too good. The X factor to me is their front 7. It is their defensive line, shutting down the run and constantly pressuring Byron Brown. Give me Miami to win this game. But the season, the playoff hopes not over for USF. They might topple out of the rankings after this loss, sure. But the American slate for them is pretty favorable, and they avoid Tulane in the regular season. One loss to a top 5 team on the road is not going to derail them. USF is a legitimate college football playoff contender. They have one of the better resumes of any team in the country right now with 2 ranked wins. Watch out for the Bulls. Even if they lose by 30, do not write them off. Galesh has got this team rolling right now. Miami wins the game, but the Bulls will not go away quietly. So guys, as always, thank you so much for watching us here at the Gridiron Expert on YouTube. Make sure to continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos. Check out everything down in the description below. That includes our website, thegridironexpert.com, home to those expert picks. Again, some of the best college football and NFL spread picks in the entire country, beating out over 80% of the national handicappers each of the last 6 years. We hit over 60% of our bets in both college and NFL in week 2. We're going to do it again in week 3. We're offering those picks for one of the lowest prices in the country, so go sign up today. Take advantage of them now. Become a member of our GE Nation. And once again, as always, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time right here on the Gridiron Expert.